All right, let's go ahead and get started. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you're joining us from. My name is Len Thompson, and for those of you who do not know me, I'm the Community Manager for CA's Plex 2E community. Before I hand you off to Steve and we get into the meat of today's session, I know that some of you are listening to the audio via the WebEx broadcast rather than on the phone line. When it's time to ask questions, you can do that during the session or at the end. You can please feel free to use the Q&A feature right in the WebEx itself. If you don't see the Q&A box in the lower right of your screen right now, if you look in the upper right of your screen, you'll see a question mark icon, so just go ahead and click that and the box will open up for you. And with that, I guess I'm going to hand things over to Steve today. So go ahead, Steve, take it away.
Wonderful. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the first of what we're going to be calling the lightning talks. So what are the lightning talks? The lightning talks came up from the recent conference we had where we sat down with several customers and they said, hey, can we do something where we'll do a community webcast, we will post it, we'll do an update, and we want to show tips. I think the best quote I got was a lot of the engineers that have been working with these tools have been working with them for years, and they have some favorite tips and tricks they want to share. So these lightning talks are all about you. And we're asking for customers to volunteer to come to them. And so what I'm intending to do is I am your product manager for Plex and TUI. I'm in Scottsdale, Arizona, so it's wonderful to meet you all over the web in this global communication forum we have. The intention will be to give a short update. Where are we at on the products? What are we working on in development? And then have different speakers do the lightning talks about short tips and tricks. What are your favorite things? What do you think other people may not know that would really benefit their life? So that's what the agenda is for today. We're going to talk a little bit about it, and then we'll have a couple of presentations, and then we'll have it open for Q&A. Please, Q&A is there. If you have any questions now or during the conference, please put them in the box. We're always happy to answer them and see if we can follow up. If we don't know, we'll try to get back to you. What's the greatest thing about the Lightning is you as a customer can get awarded for doing this. We have a lot of folks who volunteer, and what we need to do is have you guys start emailing us in your session. What do you want to talk about? 10 minutes is fine. All you need is a couple of tips and tricks. That's what we're looking for. And as a thank you, the partner community is going to donate some gift cards. So, you know, not only do you get to share your expertise, your knowledge, your brilliance, you get a little reward, maybe a nice contribution towards a dinner out or a nice gift for your spouse. So please start thinking about when you listen to this presentation. If you're listening to sometime in the future or after this presentation, please email us, myself or Mark O'Brien, with some ideas that you guys want to do to talk, and we will schedule those. The more people we have who volunteer, the more often we will do these lightning sessions. The intention is to record them and post them to the community site so that we'll have them for anybody who can't join at this time. We have over 60 attendees today, and so it's a great attendee list, and I appreciate you guys taking your time. So again, I'm SteveSolomon, your product manager, and so what happened in 2017? So as part of the lightning talks, where have we been and where are we going? We had a fabulous user conference, and in Miami, it was a great time. It was standing room only. We had almost more people than we had room for, and considering we had hurricanes and hotel changes, I was extremely pleased. The venue worked out beautifully. The weather was nice. The sessions were awesome. The feedback from the customers was great. Believe me, when the 10th annual one comes around, you will want to be there if you couldn't make it to the 9th. It came off so well. So I wanted to say thank you for all of the customers that made the effort to attend. Thank you to all of the partners that contributed to the success. And it really was a great wrap-up to 2017 for the community. I came away with a spirit of positiveness from all of the customers. Several of them said it was one of the best conferences ever, and that, you know, the refocus on Plex and TUI is just been exactly what they were there to hear. What also happened? Well, Christoph Heinrich has been your president of this user group for quite some time. Christoph was saying, hey, we really would like to get a vote on a different president or bring in a co-president. So also on the call today is Amy, and I won't pronounce your last name, Amy. I'll let you do that.
Take it.
Amy is your new co-president. So in addition to emailing Mark O'Brien from CM First or myself, there is Amy, who's your co-president, that you guys can reach out to and volunteer for the sessions. Amy, would you like to say hello and introduce yourself?
Hello, and let me introduce myself. My name is Amy Lugibihl. Steve, you could have faked it. Most people do. I just want to kind of jump on the piggyback here that Steve mentioned. Miami was a fantastic, fantastic gathering of people. My numbers, if I wrote them down correctly, that we had over 70 public, private, and governmental organizations represented. Every continent was represented except for Antarctica. We're going to work on that next year. 23 different countries and 14 different time zones being represented. So we do have a diverse group, user group, and hope to be able to represent all of you as we move forward. A little bit about myself. I've been working with Sign-On TUI for nearly 28 years, and as an independent consultant for about half of that time. I'm very, very blessed that TUI has kept me employable. And as we move forward, also as an independent consultant, I'm hopeful it's going to continue to keep me employed. I've worked in numerous domains over my past years, insurance, inventory, accounting, judicial, legal. Have been able, very luckily, to work throughout the U.S. as well as Europe. As far as this position goes, I'm open to suggestions as to what it really means. In the past, it really means helping plan the users group meeting, and luckily for me, my appointment didn't occur until well after the Miami event is underway and getting together. So I'm open to suggestions. Reach out to me. Let me know what you're wanting to hear or see or need in either the TUI or Plex tool sets. You can connect with me through the CA community page. We do have a Facebook page as well, or feel free to connect to me via LinkedIn as well. I'm here to help you guys do whatever it is you need me to do. That's about all I have.
Thank you, Amy. I think we have a news flash. I think Mark O'Brien has joined our call. Mark, would you like to say hello to everybody?
Yeah, thank you, Steve. You know, coming back from the conference, we did exit polls for attendees, and as a result of that, we formulated these two lightning talks, which are going to be shared from a team from each part of our technical staff. And you know, the conference was, like we said, was a great success. We had logistical problems due to the hurricane and so forth, but it did not dampen people's spirits, and a lot of enthusiasm. And there'll be another one in 18 months, so it'll be the spring of 2019, and we will be polling our community worldwide for the selection for the venue to be, you know, at that location. And I don't know if this is a coincidence or not, Steve, but CA World has decided to move to Miami next November as well. So I guess we're showing them the way of how to do things in the right venue.
Absolutely, absolutely. It was a phenomenal location. So thank you, Mark. By the way, CM First, our partners there, were wonderful enough to put together a video. And so if you had attended or hadn't attended and you haven't seen the video, please go look it up at the bottom of the screen. We'll make this PDF available, so if you don't have to write down all those crazy numbers. But it really, truly captures the spirit and success of the event. So a great little few-minute video to catch some of the photos of the conference and to start thinking about your attendance. And thank you, Mark. First quarter 2019 is the high-level plan, is what you're saying, right?
Yes, sir. Number 10,
the 10th annual.
10th conference. Mm-hmm.
All right. So that's the kind of the year, the wrap-up. I mean, the conference was such a highlight. It was a great, great pleasure. So now we'll jump into product management type work. So for the CA Plex customers out there, so please realize around. So everybody, please be aware that 721 cumulative update, or PTF 002 is out there. It was posted. It was announced in the community on November 30th. We have done a lot of work in Plex over the past year in 2017 with the PTF 001 that had 25 plus fixes in it. PTF 002 has 35. We have been working with customers on all of the issues, their upgrades, where you're at, and making sure that we have a really, really solid product in the Plex 721 release. So we've done a lot of focus on that. Arun, your architect, Vijay, your product owner, the entire engineering team on the Plex team has been working really, really hard to make sure that all of the issues are addressed and addressed quickly. The backlog is down. This now means that we can start working on some of the new stuff that we have in the plan, so all is very good. We do need everybody on the Plex customers to move towards 7.2.1. Also, remember in the PTF 001, there was an important performance enhancement that came. So if you're still on a 7.1 or a 7.2 and you're struggling with performance on a group model extract or update, long duration, we're going to see a tremendous benefit by moving to 7.2.1 PTF 002. I don't think PTF 001 is available anymore. It shouldn't, because this is all cumulative. So that is where you guys need to be. But if you guys could start putting that in your plans, first quarter next year, if you can get that upgraded, you'll have less problems, we'll have better, faster system, and we can all move forward together. In addition, we have completed certifications for 7.2.1 for Windows Server 2016 and Microsoft Server 2016. So in addition to the PTF work, we're continuing to do the certifications that are needed to keep the release up to date. There was quite a few other certifications that were listed in the PTF 001 that was announced at the user conference, and so, I mean, pretty much we're in good shape across the board. I want to say thank you to Arun and Vijay for their team and the focus and the dedication that they have shown in doing all of this work. It's not always easy to put all these together, create the individual fixes, get customers to validate them, and then package them again and retest them all again to make sure that we have a great solution that's complete. As we go forward, I always have to do a non-disclaimer, legal reasons for CA, because this next slide is going to be a future slide. So we're going to shift over, we're going to talk to TUI a little bit. This is the roadmap for TUI. We are working on an 8.8 release of TUI. So the focus of the next TUI release is on SQL support and improvements. We have hit a bit of a delay. We have all of a sudden, after years of almost no customer issues in TUI, you guys are great, you're fabulous. We have a spike in customer cases. I'm hoping that's because there's lots of new development going on and people are doing their upgrades to 8.7. But it slowed down our release process a little bit, but the other time is we said, hey, we now have enough issues that we're working on roll-up fixes for, I'm sorry, I have a typo here. It is 8.7 PTF roll-up 1, not 8.8. We're working on that, and we are validating that with some specific customers. So if you're a customer, you're on the list, and you are doing the 8.7 PTF roll-up 1, and you're helping us to validate that, thank you so much. So as soon as we complete our testing and the customers are working with us, give us the thumbs up. We will be releasing and posting that. Stay tuned to the community for the announcement for TUI 8.7 PTF roll-up 1 for being posted. Then as we get new development going into 2018, please also stay tuned to the community to say, hey, who has large databases, who needs SQL performance and database performance, and because we're going to be reaching out to you and say, look, if you have some large test databases or even production that we could test against for some performance issues, there's a couple of things that we need to validate for performance to make sure that we're doing the right things in the right way. Look forward to those in the communities when we come out and ask for your help, because we think this is going to be a big benefit to all of the TUI customers that are out there. So lots of great stuff, lots of stuff coming down the road for TUI. Plex has a great mission and starting to look to the future there. So that's kind of where we are as a update and status on the products. We're going to be turning it over to lightning sessions. If you guys have questions on any of the information I've just shared, please go ahead and put it in the Q&A section. Now, tick-tock, tick-tock, tick-tock. If you're on Plex 7.1, 7.2, or 2E86, time is running out. So please watch for your email distributions. We're going to be sending out end of service notifications later this month with a 12-month announcement on end of service of these products. Now, Plex especially, because of the development tool it is with all the integrations you have, when you look at what was certified with 7.1 versus all of the things in the world today for 7.2.1, it is tremendously different with all of the certifications. And if you're on 7.2, you're closer, but now is the time to plan, make your migration. Please do your planning for the first half of next year, so that when we come down to the end of the year that we're not coming along and saying, we don't have budget, we don't have time. It's a real challenge for us. If we're all going to move forward together, this is something we all need to do. Because if you report an issue on a 7.1 or 7.2, when we have to go back and fix it, 7.1 is a problem because then we have to retrofit it and test it in 7.2 and then 7.2.1. So the more that the whole community can uplift and get on the current release together, the faster we can all move forward together. So it's for both of us. So I do appreciate it if you guys would plan. If you're not on a 7.2.1, please get there on the Plex side. If you're not on the 8.7, please get there because that will get you in position to move up when the next releases come out. So we're continuing to remain 100% focused on customer support issues and certifications, and then working on new releases. So our team priorities remain consistent. If you guys call in with a problem, you're going to be our highest priority. If you call in and say you need a certification, that's our number 2, and number 3 is the new development. So the more that we can stay current on the releases, the more we can do in the development. So it's a joint effort, and as a small community, we do appreciate your assistance. All right, and that's a wrap up from the product management point of view for history and then the road ahead. 2018 is looking to be a great year, so I'm very happy to be part of the team that is supporting Plex and TUI for CA Technologies. So, Emmett and Mark, are you guys ready for your session?
Yep, our first lightning talk is going to deal with CA TUI SQL generation tips, and then by 2 of our more senior development consultants, Amy Foley and Mark Schroeder.
Okay, hello, my name is Amy Foley. As Mark said, I am with CM First. Mark Schroeder, unfortunately, is having some dial-in issues, and I think I've just got him on the phone.
Hey, this is Mark Schroeder. Yes, I'm listening in.
Okay, what we wanted to go over were just with TUI SQL enhancements, just one of the most common setups for existing systems who are looking to move to SQL from the old DDS model. The most common things, most common options that everyone wants to keep in mind when we're planning to modernize to SQL from DDS are we going to keep the file and field names the same? So are we going to keep the wonderful AABBCD that we all know so well, but confounds everybody who wants to access that data? We're going to keep the existing file names. We're going to give them more descriptive field names, or are we going to go ahead and change both the file and field names? Mark has done a wonderful job of putting together a nice table that lays out what the different options will actually do and how the different combinations of options will get you to whatever particular feature you're looking for. As I said, in our case, we're going to be going for keeping the same file names, but giving ourselves the most common solution, which is enhancing the field names, which makes it easier for any third-party applications that are accessing the data to actually understand what AABBCD means. We all seem to have no problem with it. So keeping the field names the same and giving the enhanced field names, we've got a couple of model options we have to change, and then we're actually able to go ahead and make this feature work. The biggest one is changing the length of the SQL name. This will give us, the default is 10. We like to go with 25 since that's the size of everything in the model. We change the SQL naming to long name fields. We set the model up to do DDL, and we use enhanced SQL naming for yes. And I'll show you some slides on that next. Just some simple model value changes. You can set it the SQL length for the enhanced field to be any value from 1 to, well, I assume you can go beyond 25, but 25 gives you the same field names that we're using in the model. The next feature is setting up how the SQL naming is going to be used. There's multiple options here. You can have long table names, long field names, both, or neither, and it stays just as standard DDS. In this case, we're going to use the long field names. We'll set up to use we want to keep the file name the same, and we'll give the field names the enhanced. So we'll leave the enhanced SQL naming as no. With the setup that we're using here, for those of you who have worked with SQL in the past, you'll know that you can have a short system name and a long descriptive table name. We want to keep both the system name and the long descriptive name the same. It just makes life a little bit easier for us in this case. The enhanced SQL naming comes into play with using the long table names. It helps ensure that if you have a file that has a very short name, that it is always unique. The last thing we'll change is we're going to set the database to start generating in DDL. All of this is going to be for anything new. It's not going to, as with most model changes, it doesn't impact the things that have already been created. So this way you can set it for things going forward and then slowly work your way backwards. So with these options, the way we have it set up, we've kept our original file name. We're able to now create descriptive, we're able to see the fields with much more descriptive names. So for anybody who uses a third-party app or just has used SQL, in general, you'll be able to sit there and do a select user underscore ID as opposed to AABBCD. The next slide, you'll see that we can still use the same names. The same DDS names are still a part of the table. This also means that our existing functions do not have to be recompiled in any way. So you're able to roll out the table without having to redeploy your entire universe. And that way, on those functions where you can now go function by function to identify those where you can use SQL to make some additional improvements. And then just again, just a quick run back to use the enhanced field names. We're able to just change the couple of SQL values and a couple of model values, and then you're able to go ahead and generate your model or generate database tables as needed without having to worry about redeploying the programs underneath them. I believe that's it.
Thank you. And that's the intention of the lightning talk, is a great tip that people can use and maybe something they haven't thought of. Abram, making you present.
Okay.
You can now share your screen. There you go.
Yep.
I see it.
All right. So you should be able to see a web browser. And can everybody see that okay? Mm-hmm. All right.
Yeah.
So today I'm going to be going over some enhancements that you can do with your M3 migrated application. I know some or most of you have seen or heard about our M3 product before, but for those who haven't, just here's a broad explanation. The M3 product is a modernization technique for your TUI application. Your TUI application is migrated to Plex and then generated as a responsive web application. All the code from this is generated in Java, and the advantages that come from this is you can actually expose your generated functionality to Java web service calls, REST APIs, and the like. So I'm just going to be going through a quick example showing in the modernized screen the data we're loading, and then using those exact functions that we're using within this function as a web service as well. So right here is just an example of a modernized screen. Is just doing a simple block fetch data and displaying it on the screen. Nothing too crazy here. So, but I just want you to make note of the data, the tests 1, 2, 3, 4, and 6. Obviously, I can't count, so input test 5. So this is using a block fetch function from within the migrated application. So this is something that's migrated directly from a TUI application. And so now the function that is being used to load this is a Java function, and we're going to be triggering a REST API to also do this exact thing. So here, let me actually move this over so you can kind of compare data. Okay, so very simple example, but we can say with this API that we've created, this is just an example API. You can obviously design it in different ways if you want. But with the one we created, we're able to say what function implementation we want.
Just 1 second, Abram. For those of you, this may be very small. If you right-click on your screen, you click View, and you select Full Screen, it will make it easier to see. So right-click, View, Full Screen will make it easier to see. Sorry about that, Aaron. Back to you.
Oh, no problem. Okay, so yeah, this is just Postman. This is a this is an API tester, basically, so you can kind of consume APIs from within this. And so you can see this API that we've created. We're saying the function we want to call, what package it's in, and then also handling the parameters, the input parameters for this call. So I'm just going to go ahead and just send this call, and you will see the JSON response down here. You can see here are these are input fields that we're using, so we're not positioning on anything. We're just basically loading the full table. And so now you start to see the fetch data and the array of the fetch data. So you can see here's my test one. Goes from 1/1/2001 to 12/31/19, has the same description. And you can see we have that for each row that is loaded in the grid. So we're directly consuming the exact same function that we're generating from Flex. You can also put in additional parameters and things to restrict your data, obviously. So if you're needing to consume this functionality, but you need to do it in a lot of different specific ways, you're able to do that through the API. So I'll just go ahead and add that parameter where I'm only going to search for test2. And you could see in my fetch data, I only bring back my test2 option. Obviously, this is a very simple example, but it's very, especially with this example we've created, it's very wide open. We can call any external function within the application. That is one limitation to calling the migrated application is because of the way TUI handles shared context and things like that. You cannot call an internal function directly, but the workaround for that is very, very simple. All you have to do is just wrap it in an external function and just call that external function. It literally takes 5 minutes to set that up, so it's not difficult to do. So with this, with the actual migrated application, not only do you get the rich web application that you see here, you can also consume the items that are generated from the model as REST APIs for any other application or third-party thing that you might need. So that is really all I had to show. If there's any questions or anything, please email me. I'd be more than happy to answer any questions. Chris, is there anything you would like to add? I'll take that silence as a no. So yes, that's really all I had to show.
Abram, that was excellent, and you've got Chris to be speechless too. This is a double bonus.
I know, that's the real accomplishment.
I was yammering away, but I was muted. So yeah, I just wanted to share exactly how we created this, and it was pretty straightforward. It is a Spring Boot REST project. So the creation of this straightforward REST implementation only took about 4 hours. So you can have everything. Since it only took 4 hours, it's not quite formal REST, but you could create Plex functions that make a REST presentation of your data model. That's all I have to add.
And when you said it took in 4 hours, we created in a way where we were able to access any external functionality from the model as well. So you can do really powerful things with, short dev time.
Well, I'll ask you a question. I was actually on a call yesterday with some customers, and we were talking about APIs. And I'm not sure everybody's familiar with REST versus SOAP. So does this work with SOAP, or is it only REST?
This is only REST.
Wonderful. And I'm going to take it into the assumption that this is what you guys are seeing, as most of the APIs in the market will be a REST JSON combination. So you have the REST call up on top, which is your post command, and your JSON at the bottom. You guys are seeing that as the predominant for all new development. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. No, it's just it's an interesting comment, because I have some folks that really like SOAP, and when we say, look, all the work that I've seen lately is REST JSON, I was just looking for that validation.
Well, this is a Spring Boot, and if you really needed to do the same thing in SOAP, it could be done, and maybe a little bit more time.
And let's hope not. Let's hope everybody is embracing the REST JSON, because from what I've seen on the API integrations, it's a great platform.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Steve, from first standpoint, that's what we had to show our audience today, and we can open it up to some questions that people have, both what they've seen or based on what Steve presented.
You guys have any questions? I don't see any questions. Yes, there is a question in the Q&A box. And I think this is on the first one. Can you use names other than the implementation name?
Yes, you could if you're willing to put a little more work in your Plex side. If you're using implementation names, it was a little bit simpler to implement, but this approach does not force an either-or choice.
Another reason typically to use the implementation name, especially from a Plex file standpoint, since the object name, for example, would be another thing you could use. That's much more likely or much easier change than implementation names of fields, since they're probably being used on tables and things like that. Those are less likely to change, which is another reason why we just did the implementation name.
Thank you. Any other questions? Everybody out there is way too quiet. So I don't see any other questions at this point in time. So if not, I mean, this is your community, this is your user group, this is your time to ask if there's anything else that you wanted to know. Now's a great time to do that. Yes, we have another question. Can you generate something like Swagger to describe the API?
I haven't directly worked with Swagger, but I would say yes, because using Plex, you can generate an artifact that can be used by products like Swagger, because I was able to do this just using the Plex meta model information. So Plex is able to communicate with things to present a model to them, and so I really don't know about Swagger directly, but I have used other tools, mostly Spring-oriented. The tools that you see here are the Chrome browser for the web application, and the tool that we're showing the REST API is called Postman.
And I think the screen, the CM First, this is M3, which is a CM First product. So.
Yep, it's a true model of information. And also to the community, we're going to, I guess in 2018, Steve, and tell them we're, with Lens cooperation, we're going to have several of these. And so the topics are, we want them to be determined by the community, as well as to be educational as well as timely. So make sure if you come up with an idea or have someone who might be suitable for speaking to get the $25 gift on the customer side, please let Len Thompson know, and we'll follow up with you.
All right, and I think we have one last question that's in the Q&A box from Anthony, and the question is there a schedule for a Plex 8.0? There is not currently, so it depends on how many things we finally agree what we're going to add as new features, and whether the upgrade is going to be more of an investment on your part, whether we call it a 7.3 or an 8.0. And that list has not been finalized. We are taking the backlog. There are some great suggestions in the community that people have voted up. There is some technical architecture work that we need to do. So that list is not yet finalized, and until we finalize the list, we won't know if it's going to be a 7.3 or 8.0. Likely 7.3. But I'm going to say we don't know for sure at the moment or have a time frame yet. So hopefully that answers Anthony's question. All right, then. So again, as Mark said, if you would like to present, if you'd like to get in the queue for one of the gift certificates, or you just have some great tips you want to share, please reach out to Mark, myself, Amy, your co-president, and we will put you on the schedule for the next update. So please continue to participate in the community, stand by in the community, look for the TUI PTF, roll-up PTF that's coming out. Please see the announcement if you're on Plex for 721 PTF2, and we will go from there. Mark, any last words?
Nope. Take it away, Steve. Thank you. And happy holidays to everyone, and safe travels in the next weeks. And we'll be connecting with you all in 2018.
All right. Thanks very much, everybody.
Cheers.